Rex Heuermann. I'm an architect. I'm an architectural consultant. I'm a troubleshooter. Born and raised on Long Island. Okay. Been working in Manhattan since 1987. And it's actually a cabinet maker's hammer.
The work is not done here, but this is a major, major step forward.
My reaction is, this is nuts. It's really, really crazy. You never know, you never know who your neighbors are, right?
Please note that this content is for adults only. Viewer discretion advised. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share. Hello everyone and welcome back to another live stream with me, Gilgo K. Today we are waiting for a press conference which should be happening any minute. I've got every possible news outlet open, every possible station, and of course the district attorney's Instagram account, okay, where he says it's going to be happening. So just give me a second. I just want to make sure that all the sound and everything is set up nicely for us. Okay. So, look at this. This just came in now from Newsday, which unfortunately has a paywall, but I went and paid the 25 cents that they're required to sign up to see it. So let's see it, guys. Let's read this together while we continue to monitor the Instagram account and other sites to see when they will be live. If they're live, we're switching over to that, okay? But they say Gilgo Beach killings, suspected serial killer Rex Heuermann charged with second-degree murder in the death of fourth victim Maureen Brainard-Barnes. So we did an entire live stream yesterday going over the very likely possibility that this was going to happen today. So this is what happened today. And if you missed that episode, please go check it out because it was a really good foundation for what happened today. You might want to see that just to get a little bit more insight, okay? All right, so this is now breaking news that he has been charged in the fourth murder for the Gilgo Four murder victims. There could be other charges coming in the future, but man, Maureen Brainard-Barnes' family, they've been waiting years for this. As we went over yesterday, I mean, over a decade and a half for this, right? So it said alleged Gilgo Beach serial killer Rex A. Heuermann has been indicted on a new murder charge in the killing of a fourth woman, Maureen Brainard-Barnes, who investigators believe was the first of the Gilgo Four to be killed, according to an indictment unsealed on Tuesday. So initially, Newsday last week said something like this. They said something like this, and then they retracted the article. But now here it is. Okay, so he has been officially indicted on this fourth murder charge. So then they said Heuermann 60 is appearing in court Tuesday. That's today. Okay, today, right now, he's in court. That's what we're waiting for, this press conference to happen right afterwards, right? He's appearing in court Tuesday morning before the Supreme Court Justice Timothy Mazzei in Riverhead to a superseding indictment charging him with second-degree murder in Brainard-Barnes' killing. Prosecutors proclaimed that Heuermann of Massapequa Park, the prime suspect in Brainard-Barnes' killing when he was arrested July 13th in the slayings of 3 other women. The new charges against Heuermann come 6 months after his arrest in the killings of Melissa Barthélemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Lynn Costello. Maureen Brainard-Barnes, the new charge that Rex Heuermann faces, she was actually the first of the Gilgo Four to go missing. So, shame. Okay, we went over all of those details yesterday. So if you want a timeline and to know exactly how many days it's been, how many years it's been, everything is on that live stream. Okay, I'll link it for you in the description box if you missed it. But just look at yesterday's live stream and you should find it. Also, sorry for I'm just like waiting for this press conference, and you know how it goes to hunt down New York pressers. It's quite something, because they'd just be like, okay, and we're starting, and off they go. And they say it's going to be on Instagram too, which is weird. So Welcome, moderators. Thank you for everything you do. Welcome to all my patrons, all my members, all my subscribers, and everybody. Thank you for being here to watch this with me. Let's see what they say. But we've at least got the articles here already to know that it's official. It's official. He's been charged with the 4th murder now. Okay, so they say prosecutors proclaimed that Heuermann of Massapequa Park, the prime suspect in Brainard-Barnes' killing when he was arrested July 13th, that was, of course, of last year, in the slayings of 3 other women. The new charges come 6 months after his arrest in the killings of Melissa Barthélemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Lynn Costello. Heuermann has pleaded not guilty. Heuermann, a Manhattan architect with no prior criminal record, has been held without bail in the Suffolk County Jail in Riverhead since his arrest last summer. Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney called the indictments a major development in the case, which is being investigated by the Gilgo Beach homicide investigation task force. I'm just making sure. Okay, everybody's waiting for District Attorney Ray Tierney. So they say Tierney walked into the courtroom at about 9:15 a.m. with an entourage, including Melissa Cann, the sister of Maureen Brainard-Barnes. Shame. Sending so much love to Maureen Brainard-Barnes' friends and family. This is a relief in one way, but it's still devastating, you know? Absolutely devastating. Oh, my word. Okay, so they said, so he walked in around 9:15, so that was 45 minutes ago or so. Minutes later, Heuermann's estranged wife, Asa Ellerap, arrived with daughter Victoria Heuermann, who is in court attending a proceeding in her father's criminal case for the first time. I wonder if they had a camera entourage this time with them as well, huh? They did last time, okay, for the Peacock documentary. That's why I'm saying it. Hope and Fear is waiting like, I know, right? We're waiting. We've got to monitor everything. Because when is it? Where's that Instagram live? Okay. So Down Under Veggie Garden says you'd think she'd be the first charge, but yeah, it was all about getting evidence. And remember that Maureen Brainard-Barnes out of the Gilgo Four was the only one of the 4 not wrapped in the burlap material. They had hair and other evidence and things on the burlap, okay? With Maureen Brainard-Barnes, we went over this yesterday, so trigger warning if you didn't hear it. She was bound with 3 leather belts, and it's actually one of those belts is the one we've looked at quite closely before because they showed it to the world at a press conference with those initials, which could be WH or HM, like Heuermann, or William Heuermann, which is Rex Heuermann's grandfather's name. And yes, yesterday Hope and Fierce asked me if I'd seen the article about his cousin. I have now. That is a rabbit hole and a half. Oh my word, we can discuss that at some stage, okay? Thank you so much. Allá vamos. I really appreciate it. So here they say Tierney was expected to hold a news conference later Tuesday following Heuermann's arraignment. Brainard-Barnes, 25, of Norwich, Connecticut, who worked as an escort advertising on websites such as CRAIGSLIST, was last heard from on July 9th of 2007. Her remains were found on December 13th of 2010 on the north side of Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach during the search for Shannan Gilbert, who had gone missing from Oak Beach. Brainard-Barnes' remains were bound with a distinctive belt embossed with initials WH or HM, which Tierney first publicly linked to her death in an August interview with Newsday. All right, so they say the belt, images of which Suffolk released during a news conference in 2020 in an attempt to drum up investigative tips in the case, was one of 3 belts used to bind Brainard-Barnes, Tierney said. Oh, that's just terrible, in my word. The remains of Waterman and Costello were also found in that area on December 13th, 2020. Barthelemy's remains were found 2 days earlier. All 4 of the women, the first of 10 sets of remains found along Ocean Parkway that are believed to be the work of 1 or more serial killers, were sex workers. Heuermann was linked to the first 3 women's killings that he was charged with through DNA, cell phone site data, and burner phones, prosecutors have said. A cheek swab, buccal swab, right, obtained from Heuermann by court order since he's been in custody matched a mitochondrial DNA profile that authorities were surveilling Heuermann developed from a pizza crust and a used napkin that allegedly were discarded by Heuermann in Manhattan, prosecutors have said. The mitochondrial DNA profile developed from the pizza and napkin could not be excluded as a match to a hair found at the bottom of the burlap used to restrain and transport the remains of Waterman, one of the victims, according to prosecutors. Brown said the prosecution's DNA claims only potentially place his client in a pool of thousands and thousands of possible donors of the hair. He also said his client has professed his innocence and is actively working on his defense. Okay, so we wait to see, standing by for the press conference. I just wanted to bring this to you already because that's breaking news. I'm sure we're not shocked that he's charged with his fourth murder, especially because he was always named the prime suspect since he was arrested. He was named the prime suspect in the murder of Maureen Brainard-Barnes as well. The other three he was charged with already, but throughout that probable cause affidavit, Maureen Brainard-Barnes was mentioned, and he did also allegedly use her phone to contact her voicemail, to access her voicemail and listen in to that. And we know that he did that with other victims and taunted their families and things like that. He did actually call a friend as well. So creepy stuff, huh? All right. So thank you so much. Kerry says justice for the LISK, all the LISK, Gilgo Beach and other missing and unidentified. Yeah, the last press conference was a big deal too because they identified finally Fire Island Jane Doe, which was Karen Vergara. So that's what I'm saying. I think there's still a lot of investigating that they're doing, and we will very likely see more charges in the future. Of course, if they're able to prove it, they're still busy with their investigations and everything. But it wouldn't be a shock either if he's charged with all of them or more of them, right?
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming, braving the cold, to coming out and attend the court conference today. Just before I say anything else, I just want to preface my remarks. At this stage, these are just allegations. We are going to, we look forward to proving them in court. We're here to discuss the superseding indictment. The only change in that indictment is that we've charged the murder of Maureen Brainard-Barnes, which occurred in July of 2007, and that is included in the murder of the other three women, that being Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. Before I discuss the indictment, I want to thank as always, I want to thank our task force partners, Suffolk County Police Department. We have, among others, we have Acting Commissioner Rob Waring. This is Rob's first appearance. Now that he's acting commissioner, I know he's going to take a more active role in this case, which we welcome. We're also Homicide Lieutenant Kevin Byer and his team is here as well. We thank them for their hard work. As always, my partner Errol Toulon from the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office, we thank them for their efforts. Errol is here with us. We have our New York State partners. We have Major Steve Udice and Captain Chris Casal. We want to thank them for their assistance. The FBI, part of the FBI team is here as well. We have supervising special agents Mike Lewis and Don Ansbacher. I want to thank them for their continued assistance in this case. I have my team, which I frequently forget to thank. I want to take the opportunity to thank them. Our chief investigator, Rich Zacharis, and his team, ADA's Larry Opizzo, Nick Santamartino, Andrew Lee, and Michelle Haddad. I want to thank them for their continued efforts in this case. Which a little closer to the mic. Sure. It's a little far from my face, but in addition to those task force partners, we've also received assistance or receiving assistance from the United States Secret Service, which are helping us with the downloads of a lot of the smart devices, as well as the Nassau County Police Department, Pat Ryder, as well as the Nassau County District Attorney's Office. And their assistance has been invaluable as well, so we want to thank them. And most importantly of all, I think I want to thank and acknowledge the victims' family members, many of them who are here. I want to thank them for their continued support and advocacy, not only for their family members, but for victims everywhere. And I think it's important that we keep in mind what this case is about. Maureen Brainard-Barnes was 25 years of age when she lost her life. Melissa Barthelemy was 24. Megan Waterman was 22, and Amber Costello was 27. This is what this case is about. This is what this case should be about. And I'll confine my remarks about Maureen, but we could say the same thing about the other three women. Maureen was, she was an intellectual. She was a writer. She was an artistic person. She cared very deeply about the people that she loved. She fiercely protected them. She was a devoted sister, devoted mother, devoted daughter, and she's sorely missed by those that loved her. And I know I speak for the entire task force when I say it's been an honor and a privilege to work these cases and to provide that small measure of closure for the family members. And again, these are just allegations, and we'll continue to work the case. We look forward to proving the allegations in court. But again, this case is about those victims. So I just ask that we all keep that in mind. As I've said, we've charged the murder of Maureen Brainard-Barnes to add to the already charged murders of Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. The defendant is charged with murder in the second degree, not murder in the first degree, because for murder in the first degree, you have to commit 3 murders within a 24-month period, and the numbers just don't work out. Maureen was murdered in July of 2009. July of 2007. Melissa was murdered in July of 2009. Megan, June of 2010, and Amber in September of 2010. So that just didn't. The numbers didn't work out for murder in the first degree as to the Brainard-Barnes murder. So this indictment marks a change in the investigation. The grand jury investigation of the so-called Gilgo Four is over. It has been concluded. And we will proceed with those cases in court. And again, we look forward to proving the allegations. But there should be no mistake. The work of the grand jury is continuing. Now we've talked about the transition from the grand jury to the prosecution. Well, with regard to those other bodies and those other murders, the grand jury, the task force will continue to investigate those cases. They'll be investigated through the grand jury, and when it is appropriate, and if we have anything to say, we'll say it at that time. But we're going to let that investigation play out. Before I turn it over for questions, I'll just talk about the bail letter. The bail letter discloses some further information on the case. Obviously, it's not all of the evidence in the case, but it does disclose some. So I'll synopsize that and open it up for questions at the end. With regard to the first part of the bail letter, it indicates that the task force has established that the defendant's family was out of state during Maureen Brainard-Barnes' murder, just as they were out of state during the murder of the other 3 victims. The family had checked into a hotel in Atlantic City in July 6th of 2007, and they remained there till approximately July 20th of 2007. And both the documentary evidence as well as witness statements have indicated that during the time of Maureen Brainard-Barnes' disappearance on or about July 9th of 2007, Heuermann was not with his family. He joined them sometime thereafter. We also recovered 2 burner phones from the defendant at the time of his arrest. The phone ending in 1697 was recovered from his office, and the phone 2671 was recovered from his person. With regard to the phone ending in 1697, again, we see the same repetitive activity on that phone. It was used to contact numerous sex workers. We also were able to use it to identify an alias, Andrew Roberts, which was a known alias being used by the defendant. We were also able to recover a fraudulent email account, which is sandbagger303@gmail.com. The Sandbagger email address was used similar to the T-Hawk fraudulent account. The T-Hawk was used after Sandbagger, but the Sandbagger account was used once again to search for torture porn and info on the Gilgo case, on the Gilgo investigation, and victims' families. The defendant was particularly interested in the cellular telephone technology being not only used by the FBI, but specifically by the FBI in this case. We also recovered numerous electronic devices from the defendant, including a number of laptops, smartphones, tablets. From that, we learned that the defendant undertook numerous searches for software that could assist in erasing or wiping data from computer and digital devices such as Easy Hide IP and Shredder X. He used those two applications to destroy evidence in this case. We see that he continued to make prostitution-related searches before, during, and after the disappearance and murder of the 4 victims in this case. Notably, on one laptop that was recovered from the house, there was an attempt to shred evidence shortly before the defendant met with and murdered Melissa Barthelemy. Another laptop recovered in the house accessed Amber Costello's Backpage ad on September 1st, 2010 at approximately 9:03 p.m., and that is just hours before the ruse occurred around midnight on September 2nd. So the way the timeline works is on 9:03, that laptop that was recovered from the defendant's house was used to access Amber Costello's Backpage ad. Thereafter, at about 11:33, the burner phone that was used to kill Amber Costello.
And then what happened? Oh no!
Costello
There you go.
contacted
Oh, is the weather bad? What's happening?
Amber Costello's phone from Massapequa Park, and later at 12:05, that same phone accessed that Amber Costello's phone. But this time, the phone had moved from the Massapequa Park area to the west. Significant DNA evidence between the time of the first arraignment and this time, which I'll synopsize for you. At this time, we've always spoken, right from the very beginning, we spoke about the 5 hairs of significance that were recovered from 3 of the 4 burial sites of the women. So I'll just go through that. We earlier reported on mitochondrial DNA evidence as to 3 of those hairs. We now have nuclear DNA results for all 5 of the hairs. So I'll go through it. The first, the most significant hair for the purposes of the superseding indictment was the hair that was found on Brainard-Barnes. It was found on the buckle of the belt that secured her lower body, and we also found three hairs at the site of Megan Waterman's burial. We found 2 female hairs and 1 male hair. The male hair was found at the bottom of the burlap that Megan Waterman was wrapped in, and the 2 female hairs were found around the head area, one at the top of the burlap and one near the tape that was used to restrain Megan Waterman's head. The 5th hair was a female hair that was found in the area of
Okay, guys, I don't think his Instagram live stream is
Amber
working out
Costello's
too
head.
well. Okay, so
Now,
just give
at
me
the time of the original
second.
arraignment, we reported on mitochondrial DNA results for 3 of those hairs. With regard,
I'm going to find us a bit of a better source. Okay, we're going to go back a little bit here. Don't you worry. I wanted to support the Instagram presser for a second there because I'm like, wow, this is new, an Instagram press conference. But let's just watch a normal news press conference. How about that? Okay, so just stand by. Also, all the details that District Attorney Ray Tierney is saying now, it's a lot to process. But there is a 56-page indictment that MB Inc. has already sent me. Thank you, MB Inc. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to studying that and reading it and then making you guys a video so that there's no interruptions or anything and we could just read through all the facts like we did with the probable cause affidavit. Okay, so let's hear what they've got to say here.
So that is significant evidence as well. I think the biggest change is the DNA evidence, and we've received significant DNA evidence between the time of the first arraignment and this time, which I'll synopsize for you. At this time, we've always spoken, right from the very beginning, we spoke about the 5 hairs of significance that were recovered from 3 of the 4 burial sites of the women. So I'll just go through that. We earlier reported on mitochondrial DNA evidence as to 3 of those hairs. We now have nuclear DNA results for all 5 of the hairs. So I'll go through it. The first, the most significant hair for the purposes of the superseding indictment was the hair the hair that was found on Brainard-Barnes. It was found on the buckle of the belt that secured her lower body. And we also found three hairs at the site of Megan Waterman's burial. We found 2 female hairs and 1 male hair. The male hair was found at the bottom of the burlap that Megan Waterman was wrapped in, and the 2 female hairs were found around the head area, one at the top of the burlap and one near the tape that was used to restrain Megan Waterman's head. The 5th hair was a female hair that was found in the area of Amber Costello's head. Now, at the time of the original arraignment, we reported on mitochondrial DNA results for 3 of those hairs. With regard to the Megan Waterman hair that was found outside the head area, it was consistent with the genetic profile of both Asa, the mitochondrial DNA profile of both Asa and Victoria Heuermann, and you could exclude the rest of the population to 99.69% of the rest of the population. With regard to the 1 male hair of significance that was found on the burlap with Megan Waterman, again, that genetic result was consistent with the defendants, and 99.96% of the population could be excluded. And then finally, we had the mitochondrial results with regard to the female hair found at the Costello burial site, and that was consistent with the genetic profiles of both Asa and Victoria Heuermann, and that was to an exclusion of 99.98% of the rest of the population. And if you remember the science of mitochondrial DNA, unlike nuclear DNA, you inherit that solely from your mother. So a mother and a child will have identical mitochondrial DNA profiles. So that is the mitochondrial results. We now have nuclear DNA profiles on all 5 of the questioned hairs, and we use this using the SNP or SNP process. And with regard to the hair found on Maureen Brainard-Barnes on that belt buckle, it was 7.9 trillion times more likely to have come from someone with the identical genetic profile as Asa Ellerup. With regard to the first hair that we got the mitochondrial DNA profile on, the female hair on Megan Waterman, that is 2.374 times 10 to the 48th power as likely to have come from someone matching the genetic profile of Asa Ellerup. And the way that number is expressed, that's scientific expression, I'm told. So that's basically 2.374, and you add 48 zeros to that. So that's a number so large it doesn't even exist. A name for it doesn't even exist. With regard to the second hair that was found on the tape by the head of Megan Waterman, that was also consistent with a person with the same genetic profile as Asa Ellerup, and that was 2.778 times 10 to the 488th power could exclude the rest of the population. With regard to the male hair, that was we received the mitochondrial DNA profile. With regard to that, the nuclear DNA profile on that was 1.48 times 10 to the 169th power as to come from someone sharing the same genetic profile as the defendant. And finally, with regard to Amber Costello, we received the nuclear DNA profile on that, and that was 4.654 times 10 to the 63rd power as likely to have come from someone with the same genetic profile as his daughter, Victoria Heuermann. So again, the mitochondrial DNA for mother and daughter are going to be the same. Nuclear are going to be separate. Everyone has a separate nuclear DNA profile except for identical twins. We believe these DNA results are significant. Nuclear DNA, as illustrated, is much more discriminate, and the SNP technology that was utilized allows you to get nuclear DNA results from hair. This is, cutting edge. We talked earlier, and the questions were asked with regard to mitochondrial DNA. And is mitochondrial DNA analysis cutting edge? Not really. It's been around since 1996. It's been, used in courts in the United States since about 1996, I think. This SNP process is cutting edge. There are a couple of cases around the country where it's being used, but no finished cases, I believe. But it is scientifically accepted in both the medical and forensic community. It's used in the familial DNA context, so the science is certainly extremely solid. And the good thing about it is it's allowed us to differentiate between those Victoria Heuermann and Asa Ellerup pairs. So that's important. So that's basically the bail letter. I'll open it up to questions, but I just want to end with, we said at the very beginning that we were going to take a comprehensive look at the Gilgo Four cases. I think we've done that. We've completed that. We used the grand jury process. Now we move to the second phase. The second phase being the prosecution of these 4 cases, as well as continuing to use the grand jury to investigate the other cases, the other bodies, and the other murders, which we think are investigatively significant. And we're certainly going to do that. We're going to use the same methodology. We're going to use the grand jury, and if we come to a result in the time, and when the time is appropriate, we'll have further comment on that. So that's it. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, regarding the ongoing investigation, how many recovered bodies, other victims, are part of that investigation?
So we're not going to talk about it because we're going to wait until we're able. We'll talk about that in court, but. Suffice to say that it will be a comprehensive investigation with regard to a number of the bodies. So I think later the families will be speaking. They have an attorney that they're going to be speaking, and they're going to be. There's going to be. I'm sorry, not to cut you off, but right after this. Oh no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I cut you off. No, go ahead.
So you mentioned that the Secret Service helped you guys out with the devices, downloading and finding out about what data had been destroyed. Who's helping out with the DNA? Like, why was there a second rollout?
So we use, of course, our excellent Suffolk County Crime Lab has helped us with DNA analysis. We've also utilized 2 outside forensic labs. We haven't disclosed those names just because we want them to do their work. We've disclosed some of those reports, so the defense is aware of the names of those 2. We just haven't disclosed it, and their work continues.
When the list of grand jury that you were talking about, the investigation of the Gilgo Four that has ended, is this same grand jury now going to be investigating the remainder of the murder?
Yes, the grand jury investigation with regard to Gilgo continues. Yes.
And it's the same
Yes.
grand jury? Would Melissa Hand be perceived right there now, like to say?
Well, I think there are going to be a couple of words spoken by the members of the family after we're done with ours. Right here.
Can you put into context in layman's terms the DNA and how and why it's significant in the case against Mr. Heuermann?
So I think with regard to the DNA, first you have what we had previously was mitochondrial DNA. There are, and heretofore, mitochondrial DNA was really the only DNA you could use to get DNA, to extract DNA from hair. So that's good about mitochondrial DNA. The numbers are big, but not as big as with nuclear DNA. And because you inherit your genetic profile from your mother, there are a lot of people walking around with identical mitochondrial genetic profiles. And there are not as many base pairs with mitochondrial DNA. I think there's like 12,500, a little bit more base pairs in mitochondrial DNA. There's 3 billion base pairs with nuclear DNA. So nuclear DNA is like sort of the gold standard. If you could get to nuclear DNA, the numbers are going to be much larger. So you want to get to nuclear DNA because other than the numbers are high, and other than identical twins, everyone's DNA profile is different.
The 10 sets of remains, we've already identified 4 of them being found between the years 2007 and 2010. Can you share with us the years that you believe the other bodies were buried?
No.
Heuermann's attorney says nuclear DNA came out of nowhere. He, up until now, didn't believe there was any. This is obviously, as you said, more certain as far as the case. How confident are you in the case, and what do you have to say by the end of moving forward?
Sure. I think that nuclear DNA existed in the hair since they were first recovered in 2010, and now the science has caught up. I would say that's a good break for justice, a good break for the investigation. Others might disagree. But the fact that we were able to utilize technology to obtain a nuclear DNA result that we are confident in and that we are confident in defending in court and making admissible, these are all good things.
What took so long with Maureen Brainard-Barnes? I mean, the other ones were due in July, the three. What took so long? Can you speak to her circumstances specifically, especially because she did have hair allegedly on the belt?
So we spoke about the need for investigative secrecy, and as we were working through, and at the time we thought it was necessary to take the case down, we had completed 3 out of the 4 investigations, with Maureen Brainard-Barnes being the 4th that we did not complete. One of the main reasons why we didn't complete the Maureen Brainard-Barnes investigation is because we knew we had this hair, and we were awaiting, among other things, we were awaiting the result of that nuclear DNA result, which didn't occur at the time of the original takedown. So that was the main reason.
Can you just speak to what this moment means for the task force for the family, this charge related to the court system of the Gilgo Four?
Well, I think it means a lot to the task force because we know that it provides a small measure of closure for the families, and so we're really happy to provide that for them. We know that there's a lot of hard work to go, that these are allegations, that we need to prove them, but it's nice to be able to let the families know that notwithstanding, a lot of the things that have been said, we've always focused the case in the right direction. We always kept the victims in mind, and we were able to obtain a result which we're pleased with.
And I just want to clarify, the grand jury which convened for the Gilgo Four, it's the same one still actively investigating?
Correct.
Okay, and so in addition to, the defense also tried to cast some doubt on some of the DNA evidence, but they also said something to the effect of, just because an individual solicits prostitutes, it doesn't make them a killer. In regards to the new evidence of the burner phones, is there anything you'd like to share with that?
No, I think that's what trials are for, and we look forward to proving these allegations in court.
And can you just speak just a little bit to Maureen Brainard-Barnes' specific circumstances? I know we've spoken about all 4 of the group. What specifically does your office know about the circumstances of her death so far?
Well, I mean, I think that the circumstances of all the 4 women are very similar. Their backgrounds are similar. Unfortunately, their deaths are very similar, and that's why we focused on the Gilgo Four. But it's what we're willing to disclose about that death is everything that we've talked about now, with regard to the utilization of the 4 separate burner phones to lure these women out to Massapequa Park, where they were unfortunately murdered.
In the document released today, Ray talked about what was in some of the storage units, but not much. Can you talk about what else was found? Because we know that you guys were there for long.
Sure. So, basically what is required to us of prosecutors is we have grand jury material, which is secret, and then we have stuff which is publicly disclosed. So we comment on information that's publicly disclosed. There are literally mountains of information that have not been publicly disclosed, but I'm ethically enjoined from speaking about those. So I can't speak about those, so I won't. That's it? Sure. Yeah. Oh. Hi, how are you?
Okay, who else is going to talk? Thank you all for being here, watching this with me. Very interesting.
Okay, you just heard the DA, Suffolk DA Ray Tierney, speak on the 4th individual indicted on a new murder charge in the killing of the 4th woman, Maureen Brainard.
Oh, damn, that microphone was making noises. So we've seen that. I just want to see when Gloria Allred. That's what you guys are all like. Oh my word, Gloria. You're like, Gloria's there. She's there. Okay. She is, this is just me Googling. Okay. Yeah. The most famous woman attorney practicing law in the nation today. She is a tireless and successful advocate for victims whose rights have been, just hold on. So they say feminist lawyer, right? A fearless advocate for justice and equality. Okay. So she's a tireless and successful advocate for victims whose rights have been violated. Her high-profile legal battles have led to many landmark precedent-setting court decisions and hundreds of millions of dollars for her clients. Okay. So let's hear if she's going to speak here. Is she going to?
Red.
Wait, there we go. Okay.
I'm attorney Gloria Allred, and today I'm here at the Suffolk County, New York courthouse with 5 of my 6 clients who were relatives or a friend of alleged victims of defendant Rex Heuermann. Mr. Heuermann, as you heard, has been indicted on first and second degree murder charges against Melissa Bartholomew, second degree murder charges of Maureen Brainard-Barnes, and first and second degree charges of Megan Waterman. I represent the family members of the alleged victims. Lynn Bartholomew is the mother of victim Melissa Bartholomew. Amanda Funderburg is the sister of Melissa Bartholomew. Nicolette Brainard-Barnes is the daughter of Maureen Brainard-Barnes. Melissa Kahn is the sister of Maureen Brainard-Barnes. Sarah Carnes was the friend of Maureen Brainard-Barnes. Elizabeth Meserve is the aunt of Megan Waterman and the legal guardian of Megan's daughter. Lynn Bartholomew was not able to be present today, but did try to get here and will be present in the future. They have asked me to represent them as their victims' rights attorney in this case, and I'm honored to support them. 39 years ago, I was contacted by a sex worker named Rhonda DaCosta in California. She performed that kind of work because she needed the money to support herself and her young child. She had met a man named Daniel Zabuski and agreed to provide him with oral sex for $30. But he wanted to rape her and sodomize her, and she alleged that she said no. But he did it anyway. Then he stole money from her. Zabuski was charged with rape, sodomy, and grand theft. Zabuski's criminal trial was held in Pasadena, California, in front of Judge Gilbert Alston. But before the jury could decide the case, the judge dismissed it. He stated to the Pasadena Star-News, quote, "The law was set up to protect good people, you, my wife, my daughters, my granddaughters. It doesn't protect a street-walking prostitute from a contract gone awry. This case shouldn't have been filed. A whore is a whore is a whore," end quote. It was at this point that Rhonda contacted me. I was appalled by the judge's comments. This case wasn't about contract, it was about rape and every woman's right to say no. Judge Alston had in effect declared open season on prostitutes. Rapists and those who beat and murder prostitutes could interpret this to mean that they now had a license to rape, beat, and kill because of the criminal justice system, which would not be there to protect prostitutes or give them access to justice. The judge seemed to be telling rapists that if they committed crimes of sexual violence against sex workers, that the law would protect the abuser by denying the victims access to the courts. Evidently, at that time, sex workers were not entitled to protection of the law from acts of rape and sodomy. I mention this case today because the suggestion from Judge Alston seemed to be that sex workers are not good people. That notion is dangerous to women's lives, whether or not they are sex workers. The courthouse door should never be shut to any woman who is victimized by gender violence. No man has a license to hurt, kill, or do anything else to a woman without her consent. And as I predicted 39 years ago, after the judge made his comments, Zabusky went on to rape, beat, and assault a number of other women. Finally, he was sentenced to a term of 80 years in prison in other cases after Rhonda. I was successful in filing a civil case against Zabusky for Rhonda over the objections of Zabusky's attorney, and a different judge allowed me to continue litigating the case for Rhonda. However, sadly, Rhonda passed away, and therefore we never went to a civil trial. The point of what happened to Rhonda is that failing to afford sex workers access to justice sends a message to men who victimize them that the victimizers may never face consequences for their wrongful and criminal acts. This is 2024. Will there be justice for women who just needed some money to help support their children or themselves? It is long overdue to provide justice for vulnerable women who are missing and murdered. It will be for the jury to decide if this defendant will be found guilty of the murder of Maureen, may she rest in peace, and the murder of other women for whom the defendant has been indicted. We look forward to a fair trial for the defendant and justice for Maureen. Next, I would like to introduce Nicolette Brainard-Barnes, who is the daughter of Maureen, and Nikki, as we call her, has never done an interview, and she will make a statement today. And she's very brave because this is heartbreaking for her. Nikki.
First, I'd like to thank law enforcement who have been dedicated to working on this case. I very much appreciate your efforts on behalf of these vulnerable victims. I'm here to speak for my mom, Maureen. I was only 7 years old when my mother was murdered. Her loss drastically changed the trajectory of my life. There are countless times I needed her and she was not there. I remember she read to me every night, and now I can no longer remember the sound of her voice. I wish she was here today, but she was taken from us. For years, it looked like there might not be charges filed against any suspect for the murder of my mother. While the loss of my mom has been extremely painful for me, the indictment by the grand jury has brought hope for justice for my mom and my family. I owe so much to my mom, and I know that she would want me to speak out for her in this process and let everyone know who she really was. Even though it was difficult for me, I'm doing this because I want her to be remembered as the loving mother that she was. Thank you.
Okay. The next speaker will be Melissa Kahn, and she is the sister of Maureen Brainard-Barnes.
Oh, you got it.
Would you like to identify the person standing next to you?
Oh, this is my husband, Christopher Can. Hello, my name is Melissa Can, and I am the proud sister of Maureen Brainard-Barnes. I would first like to thank the collective efforts of the Suffolk County DA's office, New York State Police, Suffolk County Sheriff's Office, the Gilgo Beach Task Force detectives, and the past detectives on this case. 13 years ago, Maureen was found murdered after she went missing for 3.5 years. Throughout these years, I had continued to hold on to hope that one day there would be justice for Maureen, and that whoever took Maureen's life would be held accountable. Today is another important chapter in the long pursuit of justice for Maureen. It has been 16 years since the last time I saw my sister, 16 years since I heard her voice, because 16 years ago, she was silenced. Losing Maureen has become a wound that never truly heals. It remains a part of me. Maureen was a mother of 2 amazing children, and they will forever be without their mother. Sorry. Maureen was my older sister who was always there for me when I needed her. Maureen was inspired to be a writer, and she loved reading books. She was only 25 years old. She had her whole life ahead of her. Maureen would never get the chance to show the world how talented she was. And my family will never get the chance to know who Maureen would be today, because her life was tragically taken. Throughout these 13 years, my family has painstakingly endured Maureen being judged and marginalized. Maureen was more than how she has been portrayed. She was first and foremost a loving mother, a caring sister, and a giving friend. With the loss of Maureen came unimaginable pain and panic. My life shattered with the confirmation of Maureen's death. Due to the experience of my sister going missing and being found murdered, I would suffer from PTSD. I would overthink every situation I deemed a threat because the worst possible thing in my life has happened. I became guarded. I overprotected the ones I loved around me because I knew firsthand that evil exists in this world. I want to ask everyone to please remember the victims: Maureen, Megan, Melissa, and Amber. I hope that everyone will also remember the other victims from whom charges has not been filed against any suspect. These victims had families. They were human beings with aspirations and hope for a better future for themselves. They have families who love and miss them. Maureen, Melissa, Megan, and Amber are no longer here to speak for themselves, and I am glad the family members of other victims are continue to speak out for their loved ones, and I support them because they know their loved ones best, and they miss them more than anyone will ever know. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa and Nikki are not going to be taking questions today. However, if you have a few questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them. If you would like a copy of their statements and mine, I have a few copies here, but you can also email me, and most of you have my email.
Okay, that's Gloria Alred.
One
She
last
is
thing
the
before I
attorney
take a few
for the
questions.
families.
We have a photo.
You just heard from.
Why must it be interrupted?
When this happened. So she's saying that this grand jury is hope and justice for the family, along with the others who are dealing with this. And just to recap what happened earlier here, if you're just joining us, Rex Heuermann.
Okay, so that was the end of the press conference, apparently, and that was Gloria Alred and representing the victims' families. What a press conference. Oh, my word. I don't think we would have seen all that if it was on Instagram Live, so I'm glad we made the switch. That was Maureen Brainard-Barnes' family that was speaking as well, which was nice to see too. They've waited a very long time for answers. And of course, there are other victims' bodies that were found on Gilgo Beach that still are not identified and don't have answers. But for Maureen Brainard-Barnes, Megan Waterman, Melissa Barthélemy, and Amber Costello, there is a suspect. He's been charged with their murders, and his name is Rex Heuermann. And so he was indicted on the 4th murder charge today. So I just want to recap that because a lot of people joined while we were actually watching this press conference. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I want to just show you this quickly because there was a lot of fluff while we waited. We waited around for this press conference. They ran very late today. So in order to make it nice for replay watchers, we're going to make sure we recap everything nicely. I'm going to show you this one more time here, just so you know what happened here. And just so you know, MB Inc., he's got a YouTube channel called MB Inc., has already sent me the 56-page new document, okay? And it's going to have a lot of details in that District Attorney Ray Tierney shared today, which it was so much that Nomfix said in chat, in the live chat here, he's racking up those bullet points. He really was. It was like, pop, 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 all this information. and about the hairs found on some of the victims, like the belt buckle hair that we went over yesterday. If you didn't see that live stream where we did a basically like a recap and a presentation on who exactly was Maureen Brainard-Barnes and what do we know so far about her case, what was in the probable cause affidavit, you know, what's with the belt and the initials and all of that, right? We went over that yesterday. So please check out that live stream from yesterday. It will be very informative if you missed it. Now, the thing is, we were talking about one hair that was found on the belt buckle on one of the belts that was used to bind Maureen Brainard-Barnes, and that is how her body was found, right? She was the only victim not wrapped in the burlap out of the Gilgo Four. So this case has been known for a long time as the Gilgo Four, and now Rex Heuermann has been charged with all 4 murders. So the thing is, that hair was actually a match to Rex Heuermann's wife, and we were wondering that yesterday, like, will it be a match to him or his wife? Or so that was interesting to hear. And of course, Megan Waterman, there were 3 hairs, 2 matching Asa Ellerup, Rex Heuermann's ex-wife, actually, because she's filed for divorce, right? And also 1 hair to Rex Heuermann. So that could be, you know, from transfer. You know, it doesn't have to mean that Asa Ellerup is involved. We don't know that, and I always rather give everyone the benefit of the doubt. She hasn't been charged in anything. She's not been arrested or anything like that. I know a lot of people, it's like quite divided, that want to be like, she was involved, but we just don't know that. She was actually out of town at the time, is what they proved now through phone records and things like that. And we don't have CCTV footage of her in the hotels, and it wasn't too far away, but we do have what they've told us. And so far, of course, it's Rex Heuermann who's facing all these charges, and he's the alleged serial killer and could face more charges. So this press conference today, in case you missed the beginning, is all about what we were speculating it could be about. We speculated yesterday. Today it was a confirmation that this was going to be the announcement. Gilgo Beach killings, suspected serial killer Rex Heuermann charged with second-degree murder in the death of 4th victim Maureen Brainard-Barnes. Now, of course, every state works differently, and the district attorney said they couldn't pursue first-degree murder charges for Maureen because there's something that it has to be 3 murders within a 24-month period. So I don't know if this is like under the banner of an alleged serial killer or what that law is. If there's anyone like Defense Diaries in chat and you want to tell us all about that law, let us know what exactly meant by that. But this was massive news, of course, a significant development, as they said, in this case. So they said alleged Gilgo Beach serial killer Rex A. Heuermann has been indicted on a new murder charge in the killing of a 4th woman, Maureen Brainard-Barnes, who investigators believe was the first of the Gilgo Four to be killed, according to an indictment unsealed on Tuesday. We do love it when documents are unsealed. As I say, it's 56 pages long, so I'm going to have to work through it, make sure everything that needs to be redacted is redacted. It doesn't always happen from the courts. I'm always rather careful with that, and then I will read it and make a video for you, which will probably be tomorrow, because 56 pages sounds like a whole lot of time, energy to read through, and bloopers, which if you're on Patreon, you can look forward to that, because that's where I post my bloopers of all the times when I'm pre-recording things. So they said this indictment has been unsealed. Heuermann, 60, is appearing in court Tuesday, so that's what happened today, before the Supreme Court Justice Timothy Mazzei in Riverhead to a superseding indictment charging him with second-degree murder in Brainard-Barnes' killing. Prosecutors proclaimed that Heuermann of Massapequa Park, the prime suspect in Brainard-Barnes' killing when he was arrested on July 13th last year, 2023, in the slayings of 3 other women. The new charges against Heuermann come 6 months after his arrest in the killings of Melissa Barthélemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Lynn Costello. Heuermann has pleaded not guilty. Heuermann, a Manhattan architect with no prior criminal record, has been held without bail in the Suffolk County Jail in Riverhead since his arrest last summer. Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney, who, by the way, premiered his very first Instagram press conference live stream, okay? That was a very new way. Wouldn't recommend, because as we could see, sometimes, you know, the signal drops off. It's not so clear. It's much better. So if District Attorney Ray Tierney ever watches this by any chance, it's much better to host that on Facebook or YouTube. Make a YouTube channel, sir. It's going to be so much better, okay? I wish they would all have a YouTube channel. All the courts, all the district attorneys, all the police departments. That would be so great. It's so much easier. It's made for it. It's built for it. Okay, anyway. So that aside, they had this press conference, okay, and District Attorney Ray Tierney called the indictment a major development in the case, which is being investigated by the Gilgo Beach Homicide Investigation Task Force. Tierney walked into the courtroom at about 9:15 a.m. with an entourage, including Melissa Cann, the sister of Maureen Brainard-Barnes, and we just heard from her as well. Minutes later, Heuermann's estranged wife, Asa Ellerup, arrived with daughter Victoria Heuermann, who was in court attending a proceeding in her father's criminal case for the first time. So Rex Heuermann's daughter has never before actually attended these court hearings or criminal proceedings. She did today, okay? So Tierney was expected to hold a news conference later Tuesday following Heuermann's arraignment, and then while we were live, then people were saying, no, it's cancelled due to the weather, it's going to be pre-recorded, and then ta-da, it went live. Pretty much as I was saying goodbye, we went, well, they went live, which was great that we could just be here and watch it together. Brainard-Barnes, 25, of Norwich, Connecticut, who worked as an escort advertising on websites such as CRAIGSLIST, was last heard from on July 9th of 2007, and many of these victims, if not all of the Gilgo Four, but many of the others as well, had advertised on CRAIGSLIST, right? Forensic Fuhrer says, gee, can we call it an Insta flop? I think we could. I think we could. Press conference must not be on Instagram. Not recommended. So this we've gone over before as well, but I'm going to keep going. So just so that you're refreshed. Again, please watch yesterday's live stream because I made a whole presentation for you, you know, with pictures and colors and the whole breakdown if you do want to see that. Her remains were found December 13th of 2010. She was the first of the Gilgo Four to go missing. It's believed she was the first victim out of the Gilgo Four, but the family has had to wait all this time for any answers. Shame, oh my word. So on the north side of Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach, during the search for Shannan Gilbert, who had gone missing from Oak Beach, Brainard-Barnes' remains were bound with a distinctive belt embossed with the initials WH or HM, which Tierney first publicly linked to her death in an August interview with Newsday. The belt, images of which Suffolk County released during a news conference in 2020, which we actually had watched together before, that's on the playlist. I wasn't on YouTube yet in 2020, but when I did a recap of the entire Long Island serial killer case in 2022, when that special task force was formed, I believe we watched that press conference together because you know how we go. We want to do everything chronologically. So go and check that out if you haven't yet seen it. And so they say the belt, they were showed this in this press conference in 2020 in an attempt to drum up investigative tips in the case, was one of 3 belts used to bind Brainard-Barnes, Tierney said. The remains of Waterman, Costello were also found in that area, and Bartholomew's remains were found 2 days earlier. All 4 of the women, the first of 10 sets of remains found along Ocean Parkway that are believed to be the work of one or more serial killers, were sex workers. Heuermann was linked to the first 3 women's killings that he was charged with through DNA, cell phone site data, and burner phones. If you've never, ever heard the probable cause affidavit, that is also on the playlist. I read the whole thing to you, and I think it would be helpful to just have a re-listen before I release the reading of the new document, which, as I say, it'll probably be tomorrow. So look out for that. Make sure you subscribe with the notifications on. It might be a premiere, or I'll just upload it. We shall see, but it'll be in the video section, right? And that initial document that we read was very, very detailed. So listen to that first, even if it's at 1.5 speed, right? That one was 32 pages, I think. Listen to that one first, because now what we're going to read next, tomorrow, that you'll hear, yeah, I think that's going to build on that, of course, because there's going to be new information that we hear. So they said here, a cheek swab obtained from Heuermann by court order since he's been in custody matched a mitochondrial DNA profile that authorities were surveilling. Heuermann developed from a pizza crust and used napkin that allegedly were discarded by Heuermann in Manhattan, prosecutors have said. The mitochondrial DNA profile, okay, we went through that, and he talked a lot about that in the press conference, to the point that it was actually like too much just for a press conference. Like, we're not at trial yet, sir. That was a lot. You know, people in chat were saying, no, this is sharing too much about the DNA. Just wait for the trial. But anyway, it was interesting to hear. I would love to make a presentation even of the press conference to try to summarize that. But I think the document is going to fill us all in on everything we heard today and make a lot more sense as well. Here they say, Brown said that, the mitochondrial DNA, we read that, yes, developed from the pizza and napkin could not be excluded as a match to a hair found at the bottom of the burlap used to restrain and transport the remains of Waterman, one of the victims, according to the prosecutors. Brown said the prosecution's DNA claims only potentially place his client in a pool of thousands and thousands of possible donors of the hair. He's also said his client has professed his innocence and is actively working on his defense. Not what the happy-faced killer told him to do. Keith Jesperson was like, come on, just own up to it, admit to it. And defense diaries said earlier he should just plead out at this point, you know. But, of course, he's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But, damn, there's a lot of evidence, stacking up against him. I'm sure they've got lots more. Of course, I know many people have questions of, like, why... How is Asa Ellerup not arrested? I think it's because she wasn't in town at all when in the time frames that they have calculated the murders would have occurred. So, family out of town for vacation, and Rex allegedly got up to a whole lot. And Nikki says, documents. Yes, we love documents, right? I can't wait to read it to you. If documents aren't your thing, don't worry. Just give that a skip if you don't want to hear it. But many of us here love documents because it's got all the facts, all the bullet points, you know, the whole chronological timeline and everything, all the bits that we want to learn. So I will prepare my voice. I will drink tea and prepare my voice to read that to you guys. So again, read that. Go listen to the first read-through of the probable cause affidavit so that will be a good foundation for the document that's coming up. So this was the news today, okay? And that's why there was a live press conference, which we've actually been anticipating for about a month, even maybe a month and a half or so, because the former police commissioner, Rodney Harrison, had actually said that it's going to happen soon. It's going to happen soon. The district attorney is going to be announcing this. And we were like, when? You know? But so it happened today on January 16th of 2024. Kerry said, yeah, Mr. Rex's attorney, the DNA and nucleotide DNA is very compelling evidence. Yeah. Okay. Gio says, too late to plead out, too much evidence against him now. Never know. Also, I don't think that, we've looked at this before, right? They don't have the death penalty or capital punishment in New York, from what I understand. So many people ask throughout the live stream. So if you are local and you do know, feel free to put that in chat if I miss those questions, because I just see them flying through as well. Yes. Denise says, can't wait for tomorrow's video, Gizla. Right now it's almost 6 p.m. my time, so I'm just going to have I'll rest my voice for an hour. If I can get it out today, I will, okay? But I know that some of those things, especially 56 pages, that could take a while. It could take a while to read and record, and I first have to study the document, of course. I don't just go with it. First, let's look at it. Make a couple of highlights, see what's really going on here, try to understand it. If there's anything I need to put in, like pictures or a timeline or something, I will. And I'll be working on that next. So whenever you don't see me, just know I'm working on something for you. And if you ever think, where is she? Just check out my Patreon page as well, because I post there quite often. And if you're ever wondering what I'm up to, we've got a community chat over there, which I update people on what's happening, you know, show the cats or something like that, behind the scenes updates. We've got videos, we've got actual podcast episodes on there, even though I'm not a podcaster. If you know, you know. So check me out over there. If you don't know where I am and you ever like, what's happening? I'm over there. And I'll post the documents there too, okay? Also, earlier in this live stream, we'd been, waffling on a bit, discussing a speculative article from Murder Inc. that I'm going to be linking in the description box for you. So if you missed that during the live stream, make sure you click on the link in the description box. It's about Rex Heuermann's cousin, allegedly his cousin, and the cousin being involved in all sorts of things that sound very similar, minus perhaps murder, but very similar to what Rex Heuermann has Googled and may have been up to. So it's pretty interesting if you want to check it out. That'll be linked for you right after this live stream, as well as, of course, eventually I'll do timestamps once the video's processed. Okay, so Peter Pranzo, Harlem Raiders, says, without a death penalty on the table in NYS, it's hard to get killers such as RH to take a plea. No bargaining chip, so he will go to trial, nothing to lose. Interesting. Okay, and if you guys didn't know, Peter Pranzo was a lieutenant with the NYPD. He was recently interviewed on a channel called Joseph Jackalone, who was actually a sergeant at the NYPD. And his book is called Harlem Raiders, if you do want to check it out. Thank you so much for all your knowledge that you share with us, Lieutenant Peter Pranzo. Okay, everyone, that was a lot. We learned a lot today, huh? I'm sure we're all like, what's happening, right? Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to go and study that document now, and then I will be back, okay? So if you want to see that and not miss out, make sure you're either on Patreon to get the notification of that happening, or just make sure you subscribe with the bell on. Constantly, wherever I'm subscribed, I see that sometimes, man, the bell isn't set to all. I've got to change that. And sometimes YouTube automatically unsubscribes you, so be careful of that too. Thank you so much, mods. I really appreciate everything you do today. Today was a busy one. Okay, thanks for keeping it Grizzly, as we say, which is kind and respectful. Families are watching. Maybe district attorneys are watching and everything. We don't bully people over here, or are ugly about their appearances. No. So thank you, mods. Really appreciate it. And I will see you all very, very soon. Okay, I'm going to be busy with that now. Bye.